Good afternoon and welcome to today's lunch break with the Rabbi. Today is Wednesday, February 17th, 2021. It is also the fifth day of Adar, getting closer to Purim. God willing, next week we will continue and begin our conversation and discussion about the Purim holiday. Today, we will be talking and discussing a certain aspect of this week's Torah reading. In fact, the name of the Torah reading and its content of what it refers to and how we apply it to our contemporary application in something in our life. The name of this week's Torah reading is called Teruma, generally translated as the word donation. In the first few verses, where God talks about these donations and contributions, God says the word Teruma 3 different times, saying in one case, "And you shall take for me a donation." The second time God says, "Take my donation." And the third time God says, "The donation that you will give." What were the Jewish people giving donations that God mentions it 3 times? Why was it so important? And if God was talking about giving donations, why does it say, "Take a donation from me"? What were the Jewish people told to do? In fact, this week's Torah reading tells us about Moses' command by God to tell the Jews to build a sanctuary for God. But when God tells the Jewish people to build a sanctuary, he doesn't say a sanctuary which is spiritual. He wants a materialistic sanctuary. He wants a sanctuary made of wood, gold, beautiful linens, extravagant, ostentatious, something out of the ordinary, a place for God, respectable place, a holy place. One may ask, why does God, a spiritual entity, need gold, silver, copper, red wool, purple wool, and 15 items that are mentioned in this week's Torah readings that the Jews should contribute? Isn't God spiritual? Isn't God infinite? Isn't God symbolism of humility? Many people have the same question today. Why do the synagogues have to be so fancy? Why do they have to be so lavish? Let it be simple, pure. Our homes could be delicious and beautiful and very extravagant. And over here, God tells us something very important. One thing we need to remember. When you give that donation, God doesn't say give the donation. He says take the donation. Why is he telling us take? Realize, number one, everything we have in the world belongs to God. God gives us opportunities and says, you know what, I'll share with you. You can use some of it. But remember, you are taking from what is mine and giving it to a different purpose. When we give charity, when we make a donation, yes, you're complimented. Yes, you can pat yourself on the shoulder that you did and helped another person, helped another organization, and did your good deed. But whose money is it? You know, we work in this world God gives us. You have people that are working 20-hour days, and they make less money than a person makes in 1 hour. God decides what each one of us make and allocates the appropriate portion to each person. God gives us every single bit we have, and every single part of it is a blessing. We work on a commission where God says, listen here, I let you keep some, but you got to give some to somebody else and share it. And therefore, God tells the Jewish people, number one, take for me a charity. Take what is mine and use it now for another purpose. But why out of all these beautiful materials? The Talmud tells us, what was the reason why gold, silver, and all the lavish great things were created in this world and all the materialistic pleasures were not for non-holy purposes to use. They were only used for God, meant to be used for godly purposes. And because they're already used for godly purposes, therefore others can use them for other things as well. So when there's gold, there's silver, there's diamonds, and all these beautiful things and wealth that exists in the world, the wealth is really there to be meant for holiness. God allows that some of that wealth be used for materialistic pleasures as well. So when we take, we're taking what is God's, using it for what is godly, and where should it be spent is on godly things. But the Torah uses 3 terminologies of donations. And its plain, simple meaning, the reason why there are 3 terminologies, they're referring to 3 different donations that God was requesting of the Jewish people. The first one was silver, which went for the sockets of the actual building of the tabernacle. The second one was contributions of the half a shekel that we discussed last week, which was for the contributions of the communal sacrifices. And the third one was for the actual construction of the temple. And over here, God uses three different terminologies. The sockets, he says, take for me. For the communal sacrifices, he says, take my donation. For the actual construction, he just says the donation. And the Hasidic commentators explain, because these three donations correspond to the three pillars that the world stands on. Because God asking us all to build a sanctuary wasn't just a sanctuary 3,000 years ago in the time of the desert. It wasn't just a temple that King Solomon built. It wasn't just a temple that Ezra built. But every single one of us today can build a holy temple. And how do we build the holy temple? By those three types of contributions. Number one, the sockets, the fundamentals. Where do we know the foundations? The fundamentals are found in the study of the Torah. When a Jew studies Torah, they're not just studying intellectual concepts or becoming philosophizing about different ideas, but they are actually connecting with the infinite wisdom of God. It's my donation. You are taking and becoming part of God when you study Torah and when you become divinely connected with God. The second donation is the communal sacrifices correspond to prayer. When we pray, we connect to God. Yes, it's us, the individual, taking God's donation, taking my donation. We have that opportunity to connect and comprehend and with God. But then there comes the third donation. The third donation, which doesn't even mention, so to speak, God's name, the donation. That's building the tabernacle out of the regular material. That relates to the good deeds that we do in this world, the mitzvot, which seemingly are physical, materialistic, and selfish. But we ignite it and fuse it with a spiritual entity. We then uplift it and make it holy, and we make it the donation. These are the three ways how we build a tabernacle today. Through the study of Torah, through the prayer, and through the good deeds. We can build a tabernacle. Make this world a sanctuary for God. It doesn't take much. Every single one of us, and every single time. The question is, are we a giver and a taker? And over here, God tells us you can be both. You can be a giver, giving this world and making it a holy place, giving that donation, giving the contribution of yourself, making this world a better place by the study of Torah and by the prayer and by doing good deeds. But at the same time, God tells us that when you give, you are getting more than you give. Because when you study Torah, you're divinely connected with God. When you pray, you're divinely connected with God. And when you change the physical into spiritual, you are making this world an unbelievable spiritual oasis. A beautiful place for you and God. But more so, when you give and you help another person out, you are gaining more than the person that you helped. God tells us, because when you give, you're actually taking from God and repurposing it and helping somebody else. God says, your blessings are just as great and you will get even more. So remember, the next time you think about or you second guess yourself about helping somebody else, when you help somebody else, you're really helping yourself. And in the words of the Talmud, more than the calf wants to nurse, the cow wants to give milk. More than the poor man gets from the rich man's charity, the rich man gets because of giving the charity to the poor man. You never feel as good as you do when you help somebody else. When you help somebody else, yes, you may seem like a giver, but you're really a taker because you're the one that's really going to feel good about it, feel stronger about it, and energize yourself because of it. So the next time you start thinking and second guessing yourself, remember, you're not giving anything, you're actually getting. May we all be in that position that we should be able to continuously give, so that we should be able to be continuously showered with God's blessings. Wishing you the very best for a wonderful day and a great week ahead. Just a quick reminder, Purim is on our mind. Next Thursday night and Friday is going to be Purim. Join us for the celebration, hear the Megillah, and receive your takeaway Purim bag. That's going to be Purim Thursday night and Friday. You can see it all at jewishli.com/Purim RSVP. Hopefully you'll join us, and we'll see you there. God bless you. All the best.